All right, welcome everyone to the Cluster Addons meeting. Today is September the 1st. Yeah, we didn't meet 2 weeks ago because it was virtual KubeCon. Just checking if we had any action items from one of the last meetings. No, we don't. Cool. Do we have anyone new on the call who maybe wants to introduce themselves? I see a lot of people furiously typing in the agenda doc. And it looks like there's something up from Summer of Code. Whose item is this? Who wants to go?
I think Lear Samtoshi put it on there.
Yeah, I just thought it was notable. Then we have a bit of abbreviated attendance today, so if anyone's looking to kind of get up to date or just see what we're thinking about publishing to the Kubernetes blog, Samtochi has made a PR with a quite extensive blog post explaining some of the lines of work that have been accomplished over the past few months. And if you want something else highlighted, then feel free to also suggest an addition. Cool. Feel free to bring that up later if you still want to speak up on it. Justin, did you want to talk a bit about this COPS integration that you've been working on?
Yes, just that we haven't got it done yet, but like thanks to a lot of the work that Samtoshi and everyone in this group has been doing, we are getting closer, you know, discovering objections and overcoming some of them, as in like fixing some of them. I think we had the prerequisite PR to this PR merge, and so I think we are hopefully one PR away. There may be some extra stuff that has to happen on the way, but yeah, we're close. So maybe in 2 weeks, we'll see. I don't know who added the next item. Looking for selling clusters. I don't know. Well, does someone want to go next? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Prakash here. So I just had some general questions, and this is what is cell? Is there a concept called cell in clusters or multi-clusters in cluster API?
Oh, this is a good question. I don't know anything about this. Does someone know what this is related to?
So to give you background, I was looking for, I was working on something to do with clusters and multi-clusters, federated clusters, and then the concept came about security, something to do with transport layer security, and then application layer security called Borg cell and all that. So I got a bit confused as where is this cell concept coming here? I know cell concept being there in the OpenStack, but I was not aware if there is a concept called cell in the Kubernetes cluster space. So I wanted to verify if somebody knows what does it mean. Like, how is it Borg cell and what does that mean with respect to Kubernetes clusters? Does it have any meaning? Do we have any concept called cell to treat certain clusters together, like remote cluster versus local cluster, being in a cell, etc.? If nothing, then we can drop it. But I just curious to know if there is anything that I am missing.
The closest thing I can think of right now is with some of the service topology and multi-cluster routing things that are being proposed. And that's more organic in which like you can label nodes based off of their topology and yeah, I could like create cross cluster groups and that kind of thing. Like say if you're in the same availability zone, but it's primarily label and selector driven, and I have not heard of like any formal concept in that API regarding cells. I started looking into the OpenStack reference that you. This is just for like groups of compute, I guess. So you would imagine that this would be the multiple clusters.
That's the reason I brought in here. Yeah, okay. I think I got it. There is none at this time. And let me verify myself and before I come back. Because
yeah,
I
you might
don't
want
know
to ask like as well on the cluster API call. Somebody might have more context.
Okay. Okay. So cluster add-ons doesn't deal with this kind of thing. That's what I wanted to know. Does it have to be brought here, or it can be part of? If something about cell I come up with and I would like to validate it, where should I go in this case? Assuming that cluster makes some sense overall.
Yeah, I would imagine if you were concerned about multi-cluster, we used to even have a SIG for it, I think. But yeah, cluster API would be a great place to talk about anything multi-cluster.
Okay.
I'd also say there is something multi-cluster, like there's a resurgence, multi-cluster 3.0, which is coming back, and I think they're looking at like services that span clusters and things like that. So there is a group. I don't know if it's a working group or a SIG or what it is these days, but there is actually a group that's active again in this space, in the multi-cluster space. If it's about like segmenting a cluster for security, segmenting one cluster for security reasons, that would be, I guess, a security topic, presumably, which is a little different from multi-cluster, but perhaps not. I think multi-cluster is a good place to look, I guess.
Okay, thanks. I think that's good enough for me. I'll pursue it later.
I guess the other group might be SIG multi-tenancy, which is doing a lot of work with virtual cluster.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Justin, it looks like you want to talk about some infra bootstrap.
Yes, so it looks like the next thing on the agenda. So for people that don't know, there was a discussion, a Googler actually, but a community person put in a PR into the KK repo to recreate the existing cluster add-on manager, the bash cluster add-on manager, which is not widely used. It's in the cluster directory, the deprecated cluster directory of the KK Kubernetes repo. They put in a PR to suggest rewriting that in Go. They got a lot of pushback on making changes into a deprecated area. There was concern with overlap with our project. We basically said, well, why don't you come and put it into our project? And everyone was basically happy with that idea. So we have that now in our project. There's this, which is a bootstrap directory. The idea is right now it's a very literal translation of the bash script, and very, very literal. Like for example, when it wants to get an object, it literally calls kubectl. It execs kubectl get instead of using client go. So it is a very like direct translation, and we are going to address that over time. However, it's there. The intent here is to look at, like how do the operators get installed, at least. So that's why we thought it belonged. And the other good news is, the other news, which I hope is also perceived as good, is that, and it's not mandatory to use that. The other news is that therefore we are setting up the infrastructure to be able to publish images, container images from our repository, from our Git repository. And so in working group Kate's Infra, we've gone through that. There should now be, I sent a PR which has merged, so we should now have a staging Docker or container registry. And we therefore can also promote images using that, the container promoter process, and they will appear on kates.gcr.io. And so the Bootstrap one is one, the Bootstrapper image is one which I think they are under time pressure to get going. So that will likely happen first, but then that means that like all of our other operator images, we also now have a path to publish. Everyone's very quiet today.
I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed contributing to I've enjoyed contributing to cluster add-ons. It's been very fun for me. It's been awesome, and you all made it really, really good for me. And it's almost done, but I definitely plan on staying around. And I just want to especially thank my mentors, Justin and Lee, for their time and their commitment to ensuring that this was really a smooth ride for me. I am really grateful. And every other person too who has contributed one way or the other with their suggestions and their reviews on the PRs. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Matoshi. Thanks for everything you've done. And yes, we really appreciate it all. And you've done a wonderful, wonderful work.
Yeah, it's been really cool working with you.
Thank you.
Definitely excited to continue seeing what work you produce, what you decide to solve. Oh, I see Sandeep is here. Cool. I guess anything else regarding Core DNS, add-on discovery, or some of the other lines of work? I know folks are busy, but if you were thinking about something, or if you need help on something, or looking for another collaborator, it's great time to speak up about it. Also, Daniel says in the Zoom chat, I think this stuff doesn't show up on YouTube, but guess he's asking Justin if you're looking for feedback on the Bootstrap port.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there's lots of things that need doing. I think if people are unhappy with being in there, then absolutely raise that now. If people want to address things like fixing the use of kubectl exec kubectl to like query an object, like a PR is very welcome on that sort of front. I think the person who's maintaining it right now is called, well, his name is Jake. His GitHub handle is in the commit history. I will go with that, and maybe reach out to him around that, because I don't know whether we want to try to get more test coverage in place before we start refactoring. I don't want people to like start doing too much refactoring work and then sort of be surprised if it doesn't merge immediately, because we want to make sure we have adequate coverage.
Yeah, I guess for background is the port seems to already have use of some sort, right?
Yes, the port is currently used. So what made this complicated is it is currently used in KubeUp, which is still used for a lot of E2E testing for Kubernetes. A variant of it is used in GKE. It's not a hard it's not a hard connection, but I think the intent is basically to make it better for, well, really for GKE more than for CubeUp, which we would like to get rid of at some point generally, and to do that in open source is sort of the motivation for actually doing this. It seems like it is a good idea in general to have some form of applier and to get that applier using our libraries and to get that work contributing back to our libraries. So that's why it sort of makes sense, in my opinion, in this repo.
Yeah, this is cool. I was really excited to see this patch come in because we started a little bit of work in the space of appliers and applier libraries, and we didn't have much traction with KubeADM, just with the way that things are played out the first time we tried. So now we have a direct port of something that's already being used, and we can work on it from there. Test coverage would be great to start, so we know that we don't break it. Great. Well, we're pretty much at the end of their agenda. Feel free to add things for next time. And does anyone else have something they want to bring up before we end the call?
I actually I just got a calendar notification for Kubernetes multi-cluster SIG meeting. So if Prakash, if you're looking for that, it may be, this may be active. I'll try to paste a link to whatever I got in the chat, and you can sort of see whether it's actually still active. It looks like it's active, so it's here.
Yeah, I'm personally very excited about some of the multi-cluster service work, as well as the flexible service topology and routing things that are happening. So that's next gen multi-cluster networking, I think. Yeah, welcome to the meeting, Scott. Good to see you.
Welcome.
And yeah, I hope everyone is staying healthy. Be safe out there. Take care of each other, and see y'all again in 2 weeks.
All right. Have a good one.
Mm-hmm.
See you.
Thanks.
Have a nice day.